Hello, welcome. My name is Lace Watkins. I serve as Executive Director of the Lace on Race Center for Racial Equity here in the state of California. Hello, my name is Lace Watkins. I serve as Executive Director of the Lace on Race Center for Equity here in California, even though we do indeed have a nationwide reach. As Executive Director of the Lace on Race Center for Racial Equity, I want to be very sure to let you all know and to be very clear about the fact that we do not take positions on individual candidates or initiatives. The California recall election is in its final day, and while we can say and do say that those of you in the state of California who have not yet voted, I encourage you, and we as a center encourage you to do so. The center is indeed strongly invested in good governance in all states. We are limited by some parameters as to what exactly we can say. So I cannot say an opinion as executive director of the center as to which way your vote should go. What I can talk to you about, however, is I can talk to you about discernment, and that is where I want to focus the Lace on Race video. There is another video that I did indeed post as a private citizen on my own personal page. You can find it very easily. All my posts are public on that page as well. But today, here, as an employee of LORCRE, I do want to be able to speak to discernment. It's important, and particularly the general question of, is it an imperative to always vote for the candidate of color when a candidate has thrown their hat into the ring, regardless of policy position and or regardless of legislation and or regardless of their stated convictions? The answer from the perspective of the North Star of Lace on Race, lessening and mitigating the harm endured by Black and brown people, perpetuated by white people and white supremacy, has a very decided answer to that. That answer is no. This is where discernment comes in. Whenever I, as a person, and how I exhort you to look at candidates and positions, is whether or not that candidate or position is in alignment with the North Star values, no matter who that person is. This is a big deal because there are people who would indeed say, we are compelled, we are obligated to vote for the person of color. Well, that is how we get the Bobby Jindals of the world. That is how we could conceivably get someone in the California election who may or may not have the interests of the most marginalized of the state of California at heart. The North Star is not limited to any one person. So we want to be clear about that. That, for example, in the last few presidential elections, the late Herman Cain threw his hat in the ring. Was it an imperative for us to vote for him? I say the answer is no, because of the clause that we have in the North Star, that last clause, perpetuated by white people and white supremacy. Hear that again. Perpetuated by white people and white supremacy. That leaves no one off the hook. That means that anyone, regardless of identity or skin tone or anything else, needs to be evaluated, needs to be assessed by the same criteria. How close or far away are they from North Star values? That is why North Star needs to be front and center for everything. Because if you are absolutely bought into, if you are absolutely ride or die with the North Star, a lot of your decisions as the electorate becomes a lot easier, a lot simpler. So to answer the question again in a slightly different way, No, it is not a violation of North Star ethics or mission to vote North Star, even if the person who is in opposition to North Star is a person of color. That is something that's difficult, and I realize that a lot of times we use very blunt instruments and very huge, wide imperatives and prohibitives in racial justice work, which makes it very easy. Well, it makes it easy to sometimes vote for problematic candidates as a cover. And I do think that it needs to be said and mentioned that a lot of times some parties, who I will not mention, some parties do indeed run a candidate of color in a cynical ploy. Well, if you like black people, you have to vote for this person, even though they are standing very firmly on a platform that harms people of color. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. The North Star should be front and center in every one of your electoral decisions. We are charged to not only live out North Star values in our individual lives and in our individual circles of influence, but also at the ballot box and also taking it outside. I would love to hear your opinions on all of this. Put it in the comments. And this installment of Lace on the Race, again, is said with care. People will indeed ask, where do you stand on the recall election itself? Again, I cannot say that in my capacity as a worker for this organization. The center itself takes no position on the recall election itself. What we can advocate and do strongly advocate is, again, discernment and nuance and North Star full respect living the entire way. And also this, regardless of who you ultimately vote for and how you actually vote in the recall, your job is not done once you mail in your ballot or you walk your ballot in to a polling place. No, your job is just beginning. One of the things that we talk about a lot at Lace on Race is the idea that walking is never, ever a one and done. Regardless of whether you vote for the current incumbent or for a challenger, whatever happens once that vote is certified and either the incumbent stays or a new person is sworn in, is that you put their feet to the fire. Not only if they are someone who is in active opposition to North Star values, but for people who give great lip service to North Star values, but who don't live it out. That means that all of us who vote in California have an obligation to make sure that we are continuing to do the work after the election is over, regardless of outcome. How we live out our lives in the public square, which is what politics means, and one reason I love it. It's how we live together as a society. No matter how that plays out, our responsibilities as civic beings remain extant. That is an absolute service and alignment to North Star values. And we're going to be talking about that more and more as we talk about Lace on the Race, because even though right now it's September and we're doing the special elections, it's not very far before we get to 2022 and some midterm elections. And we need to be able to move fast, to move with discernment, and to move with a very fixed alignment to North Star full respect living. If you have that inculcated into your marrow, your choices for policies, for initiatives, for propositions, and for candidates becomes clear. So again, even though we cannot speak specifically to policies and initiatives and people and all of the rest, we can encourage you to think differently. We can encourage you to always, always, always have North Star front and center when you are looking at your ballot. And we can encourage you that once that ballot is mailed, that your job as a civic activist continues. I love you all. I look forward to speaking with you tomorrow when we find out the results of the election and what that means in relationship to North Star values and for Lace on Race as a whole. Thank you.